Okay, so if you'll all remember back to the video where Kevin and I installed the Motobilt rear bumper and license plate relocation bracket, we had a lot of subscribers who were either concerned or had asked about the third brake light and the license plate light, both of which you typically need to stay legal in most states and cities. Well, I'm here to tell you today that you have no need to worry any longer because Kevin and I have our off-road only third brake light kit, which is an option when you purchase the Motobilt rear bumper and license plate relocation bracket. Kevin and I did choose to get this. We were just super impatient to get the rear bumper installed along with license plate relocation bracket that we figured we'd save this bad boy for another day. So this is an LED third brake light and license plate light all in one. And today Kevin and I are going to show you how we are going to install this on our JL. All right, so I'd like to start this out by saying typically most companies and instructions will tell you to install something like this by splicing it into your taillight wiring. However, Kevin and I are going to attempt, instead of using the taillight, to use the factory OEM license plate light wiring. We'll see how this goes. The first step is going to involve removing all of your trim panels. The tailgate panel is easy enough. You're going to want to grab this, give a small tug. That'll release the first tab, and then just slowly work your way around. Kevin and I have already gotten most of them undone, but just like that. All right, so go ahead and set this aside, and then we'll move to the inner trim panels. Kevin and I have already done ours. We don't want to break any tabs, so we're not going to do it all over again, but I will show you exactly how we took it all off. First things first is removing the jack cover here, which is just this plastic piece. Easy enough tabs, they pop out, and from there, Kevin and I actually loosened the weather stripping here. It has a little bitty guy like this right up here on top on either side. You pry that out, and then you can actually loosen and remove the weather stripping all the way around on both sides. And then it's the actual quarter panel trim pieces. And again, remember, Kevin and I are trying to utilize the original license plate light wiring, which means we do have to remove the trim on the driver's side, as well as the trim on the passenger side. The reason for that is the license plate wire from factory, if you'll remember, is down here on the driver's side. So this wire actually feeds from the inside of the Jeep down through a grommet to where you see it here. Unfortunately, this plug is not going to feed back up through that grommet. So we are going to have to cut the wires in order to feed it back into the Jeep and then down and around to where we can actually wire it to our new license plate light. But before we do that, we got to get the panel off. Easiest way to do this is starting with your seatbelt bracket. Again, Kevin and I have already taken ours off, but I'm going to show you just how we did it. So you'll see there's a tab here and one on this side right here. So you can use a trim tool, or in our case, we just used a flathead, fed it in on this side, and popped it off to get one tab off, followed by the second tab. That gets this out of your way. And with this gone, you have the ability to separate both the front and the back section of this trim panel. What we did to take this piece off is we actually grabbed onto it right here, as well as down here by the carpet, and gave it a pretty solid yank. The tabs here are relatively strong, so you might have to use a little bit of force, unfortunately. Then it's just a matter of working your way around and down to get all the tabs popped throughout the whole panel. Now again, if you're choosing to install this our way, you'll only be able to pull this out a small bit, and you'll have to unplug the wire that's connected to this 12 volt. So easiest way we found to do this is just take your flathead. You're going to put a little pressure right there on the tip and turn. There you go. Ta-da! All right, trim panel on. So back into the Jeep. At this point, you can see exactly which grommet we're talking about right here. So we're going to go ahead and pull this out. There you go. Some of these wires inside of here will actually be feeding to the back of your taillight, while others will be feeding to the license plate light wires that we want to feed back up through this grommet. Now it's time to cut the wires. So I'm going to actually give myself a little bit of room here, just in case we want to feed this plug back into the system later on. However, more than likely, we'll probably get rid of the plug altogether. All right, so now we get to go inside and pull those wires back up through that grommet. All right, so we've got the wires pulled back through. So what we're going to do is cut a very, very, very tiny little slice into the side of this grommet, because you can see This is taped all the way down, and I'm too impatient to try to take all that apart. So we're just gonna cut a really tiny slice to feed those wires back up through that grommet. Victory! All right, okay, so we got the wires through, but what I would like to go ahead and do is test it, kind of faux wire it up just to make sure that everything is working and we're getting power where we should. So we're gonna twist these together, go turn on our headlights and see if they work. Black is your ground, green is your license plate light, and red is your brake light. So black to black, and green to your blue and white. All right, let's go see if it works. Woohoo! We have license plate light. What about the brake light? I'm gonna electrocute myself. We're gonna touch it here, give it power, and there's your third brake light. Look at that. Do, 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 do. Sweet, it works. Yay. Okay, so now that we know all of that works beautifully, we're gonna go ahead and put our grommet back in. Now that done, what'd I tell you? Already Kevin and I have decided we don't want to use the plug. Instead, we want to take full advantage of this free pre-wrapped beautiful wiring. So we're going to go ahead and cut this here and then use the rest of this to extend our reach. All right, cool beans. All right, so one side down, what I've figured is probably the best thing is to actually tuck this wire back underneath here to keep it pinned against the panel here, and then we'll just feed it through under the carpet, underneath the panel that goes here, all the way down underneath here to the side. Okay, so we want to finish wiring everything up before we bolt the light in. So I'm going to go ahead and show you guys what we did in order to feed this wire through. So if you'll see here, Kevin and I slit a tiny little hole into this side, our little wire casing. I'm gonna feed this bad boy all the way through, which is way easier than you'd think it would be. And then, ta-da! I can't believe I did that easily. First shot!
That was actually really good. If you'll notice, there was no cuts in that. That was all one.
There you go.
One shot.
One solid shot. So that feeds this section of the wiring into the cab of the Jeep.
How many banana job is this so far?
So out of 4 bananas, this is a 1 banana job so far. Minus the wiring, okay, maybe a 2 banana. It's a 2.5 banana because A, we're trying not to break stuff like tabs, and B, we're filming. Filming makes everything 10 times longer and more difficult than it needs to be. So other than that, 2 banana tops. If you're an electrical genius, 1 banana.
2 wires makes genius. Okay. For those
of you who don't know, I hate electrical anything.
Too.
It is like my, it's the worst. I don't know why. I don't care. Wiring.
I hate electrical too. All right, I'm gonna show you a little trick that we're gonna do.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, so now that we have this fed through and we have our ground plus our power for our license plate light, it's time to wire this side up. So as you can see here, Kevin prefers to make the end of the wires extra long and then double them over. Just so you guys know, every time we do make a connection, we are periodically going back and testing it with the Jeep to make sure everything works. We haven't miswired anything anywhere. I just haven't showed it each time because then it would get repetitive and boring and all that. But so far, this is actually working out fantastically. We're kind of like, I have no idea how this is going to work, but wiring it to the factory white license plate light is actually so far so good. So we're going to go test it one more time right now.
Boom.
Boom. Okay, so although it's really easy, I did want to go ahead and take a quick second to show you how the off-road only kit actually bolts to the license plate bracket itself. As you can see, all we did was take the license plate off, slide this bad boy in between, bolts back on. That's simple. You have this, The wire actually fits perfectly in that little slot on Motobilt's license plate bracket. And then you are left with this little plug, which I'm about to show you exactly how we're gonna feed this into the cabin of the Jeep. So Kevin and I had actually discussed a couple different ways on how we wanted to do this, and what we came up with is the best way is to actually feed it through these vents. But as you can see, the plug doesn't quite fit, so we are just gonna go ahead and clip off one of these little brackets. Like so. Ta-da!
Ta-da!
All right, keep going, keep going.
All right, we're almost there.
Almost there? All right, let's bolt this back up. Okay, so lastly, before we put everything back together, we do have to wire up the power for the third brake light, which is this bright white and green wire right here. That's going to be the
teal or something, isn't it?
No, it's definitely green.
What?
Yeah, right there.
Yeah,
it's green.
Tomato, I guess.
So white and green wire on this middle plug right here feeds over, and what Kevin and I have decided to do is just splice directly into it right here. We just tested it just to make sure we're not idiots and it is the correct wire. It is. It all works. So now we're gonna hook it up and
Clean everything up.
clean everything up.
Good to go.
Woohoo! Okay, so everything's wired up, but before we officially put everything back together, we're gonna test it one more time, just to make sure. All right, license plate light.
Good.
Good. Brake light.
Yep.
Okay, so we're good, which means all that's left is putting it back together.
Ta-da!
All right,
That's it.
that's it. We are officially all 100% done. Ta-da! Look at that. All of that for this little guy right there. Look at that. So this is your third brake light, shines outwards, and then underneath, down here, you've got your backwards facing LEDs for your license plate light. And as you can see, trim panels all back on. Can't see any of the wiring hidden anywhere underneath here, through here, any of that. It is all good. And once again, just a reminder, you don't necessarily have to do this the way that Kevin and I chose to, using the factory license plate light wires. You can, if you would prefer, use your passenger side brake light wires instead. So again, completely up to you guys. This is just how we personally chose to do it. Came out fine. I don't know at the end of the day which one would really require more work or less work, but works for us. Now, let's go test it. What are you doing? So random. So there you have it. Now you guys got no excuse to rear end us on the road at night.
Yeah, no hitting me.
Fully legal. The JLU's got a license plate light, a third brake light. We're good to go. If you guys have any questions whatsoever, please don't hesitate to ask in the comments below. But in the meantime, thank you for watching. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, and we will see you next time. Bye!
I want to say bye. Bye.
Want me to try?
No, you're breaking it. Or you're gonna mess up.
No, I'll just try the other side. That one.